if you put on a vest at like a department store and it just looks like a vest that the party member, most people will think you work there. I have been meaning to do this segment for months now, and
years even.
We have finally gotten here. I saw a very interesting post, because they're not called tweets anymore apparently, but it's on what was once Twitter. My banal TTRPG advice is all your NPCs should be at least twice as gullible as the players. Make them fall for the "what's that over there" move. It's more interesting to let the players get all the way inside the murder fortress than to waste 5 hours circling the walls. I wanted to get your opinion on that. What do you think about it?
Sure. I think it definitely warrants at least trying it. Right. Let them in, because there's more fun to be had once you're inside it than when you're trying to get inside it.
Right. Exactly. I think that it just ends up taking up a lot of time.
That too. It's like, if you're, again, spending 5 hours circling the fortress, it's like, or you could just find a way to get in, hiding in a cart. Guards are like, yeah, nothing suspicious here. Right. Go in. These are not the droids you're looking for. Move along.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, yeah. So, basically what he's suggesting is that the NPCs that your players are going to encounter can be a little bit dim, in terms of, like, the basic thought processes of how your characters will end up getting into a fort or a dungeon or anything like that. Yeah. Make sure that your guards at the gate are not all that perceptive. They can't roll passive perception.
Again,
fast.
Using another Star Wars reference, you're a little short for a stormtrooper, aren't you?
Yeah.
But like, they cuffed Chewbacca, dressed in stormtrooper outfits, and we're like, yeah, nothing unusual here. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah. The guards let him in. The guards were gullible. In this case, the players, in this case, Han and Luke, were like, yeah, I bet we could get in by doing this. And the guards are like, yeah, you can get in doing this. And I think that shows a lot more interesting ways to go about it. Because if you let the guards or the NPCs be more gullible, your players can try more interesting things.
Yeah. Now, once they actually get in there, all of a sudden people can be perceptive. I think they all of a sudden they go, hey, wait a second. I can see a delayed reaction where like the guards at the gate like think about this about an hour later after your characters are well into like stealing the magic device or whatever they got inside the castle, where they go, hey, wait a second. Those guys weren't guards. That cart looked weird. Yeah. I saw a robe out the back.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely a way you can make it so there are more interesting and fun scenarios for the players to get into, and possibly more ramifications, which again just invites more interesting and fun gameplay, I think.
Sure. I am wondering how we communicate that to the player, because I think naturally players would think when they come up to a fortress or something, everybody's going to be able to tell right away. Everybody's going to know who we are, and they're going to get stopped immediately.
No, your players, unless they are world famous, should not have anyone know who they are when they're going somewhere new.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That reminds me of a game of Deathwatch, which I've mentioned before to people in general. Sorry. This is a slight tangent, but it's a game of Deathwatch. Warhammer 40k Deathwatch that Fantasy Flight Games made. Mm-hmm. It's where you play Space Marines of the Deathwatch. You are Xenos fighters, specialists, and your thing is you're going to go kill a ton of aliens, but you're all Space Marines from different chapters.
Sure.
Somebody in their group of friends played a game of Deathwatch, except they played a group of orcs who thought they were Space Marines.
Oh.
And went masquerading as Space Marines.
Okay. Yeah.
orcs are not anywhere close to looking like Space Marines, but the Imperium at large is rather stupid.
Yeah.
Like, the layman does not know a difference between an alien and a mythical Space Marine for a lot of cases, especially if they're in armor. So what they did for the entire game is the DM, or GM, would do perception checks for everyone that they would come into contact with from the Imperium.
Right.
But everyone from the Imperium's stupid, and barely any of them have ever seen what a Space Marine looks like, so they just believed him.
Yeah.
There were like 2 instances through the entire campaign where anyone succeeded the role to realize they were orcs.
Yeah. Okay.
And one of them didn't care, and the other one got shot for disrespecting them.
Perfect.
So, letting your NPCs be gullible, and in this case, the GM actually said, I actually didn't even make them that gullible. These guys just have really good deception checks. But in that case, the entire campaign was silly and fun because they got to play characters they shouldn't have been playing in ways they shouldn't have been playing them. But it made for an epic story, so...
Sure. I think now that you mentioned that, when it comes to like perception or deception checks, if you're looking for a way that you could implement this, what about if we said that there was a certain level when we get, just the initial levels into a dungeon, into a castle, wherever you're going, where where your opponents, those NPCs, just maybe like have disadvantage on checks like that. Disadvantage on a deception check, and then as you get further in, when you get to the back end, characters have advantage. They go from getting disadvantaged, then they don't have any kind of advantage, and then they have an advantage on those deception or perception checks.
If you're going to like a fortress, maybe you're getting to where they're more elite guards instead of just the rookies.
Right. And this makes sense to me because you would think that the further in you go, the better protection that you actually have. And that would at least keep it organic so that you're not just saying, like, no, they're not going to be found out until this point here. You're just making it less likely at the beginning that they're going to get found out, and much more likely when they get in that they're going to be found out, and that everybody's going to get alerted when they're around the people that are probably also the biggest threat. Even then, the one thing I'm thinking about is that the characters might not have been communicated that they might actually be able to deceive the guards at the gate, that they might actually be able to, get in through a secret passage, and trying to communicate some of that would be beneficial, just to get them in there somehow.
I think one way you could do that with guards too is maybe you have someone that's trying to pickpocket someone.
Okay.
Like one of your party members. If you have a rogue or someone trying to do that, for instance, maybe they pickpocket someone, and the guard comes over. It's like, hey, what are you doing with your hand in that guy's pocket? And you had to think fast, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I was just helping him adjust his pants or something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you deceived both the people. It's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. Perfect.
And then you're like, maybe these guys are really stupid.
Maybe these guys aren't as bright as we once thought they were. If the party is really hesitant, I could see doing a thing where, like, you have another character that's just not in the party, and it's like some kid, like a street urchin, and they come up and they like toss a rock at one of the guards, and then the guards immediately like run after them, like, hey, I gotta get that kid who threw a rock at me. Damn urchins, gotta do something about that. That they're easily distracted. That kind of shows that they're easy to distract. Gives the players some idea about, like, maybe not deceiving the guards, but maybe distracting the guards so that it's easy to get by them. Something to that effect. I am perfectly fine with the idea of gullible NPCs. I would like to see more of it, just to get to the actual heart of the cards, we'll say. Once you get into the main part of that, as he says, the murder dungeon, the murder fortress, that's where the fun stuff happens, and you don't want that to take 5 hours to get to. You want them to be able to get in there, but also at the same time, I don't really want to just narrate my way entirely through that. and just say, yeah, you sneak in there and you get past the guards real quick, and then, okay, now we're in the middle. No, let them do stuff to get there.
Yeah.
But make it easy.
Leave it in the hands of the players, but let them do something a little unorthodox or goofy even.
Yeah, suspend disbelief for a moment, and let them achieve things that normally
Don't
they
even need to
wouldn't.
suspend disbelief. Be like, here's a yellow work vest. Welcome, go right inside.
You happen to find a crate full of yellow work vests. What do? You
Put one on, you just act like you're supposed to be there.
I think...
Honestly,
yeah,
it works in real life.
It does.
So it should work in a game.
It does. I remember reading something about, or watching something about that, where, like, if you, like, most of the time, if you put on, like, scrubs in a hospital, most people won't really think anything of it. They'll just assume that you work. If you put on a vest at, like, a department store, and it just looks like a vest that the party member, most people will think you work there. They don't really
if
think
I were
about it.
to take the vest I wear at work, which I only wear it because I work overnight. So I only wear it because it's got nice deep pockets in it I can put my things in. But if I were to wear that to any other store, they wouldn't question it. They wouldn't think twice.
Yeah, exactly. Most people do not think about it all that much. It's just that quick visual representation is usually all people need to kind of reference something. So you could use that. Sure, why not? So, hey, there's a few things that you could do just to make it a lot faster to get to the real meat and potatoes of your adventure when you get your characters into a dungeon and then try to kill them off. Fun times for the NPCs and your player characters, I'm sure. Have you tried something to this effect? Let us know in the comments down below.